For the people that aren't aware of their greater surroundings of life beyond what we call the matrix, what they don't understand is the matrix probably, that is inside the paradigm of what television tells us life is, of what schools tell us life is, of what religions tell us life is, and of what the world of science tells us what life is. So they are all boundaries. Each one of those concepts are boundaries, and they keep our awareness contained within a particular paradigm. There are many people on this planet now who have broken free from those boundaries, who understand life now beyond religious paradigms, beyond the paradigm of science, beyond the paradigm of even what we call the New Age, beyond the paradigm of everyday television and newspapers and the world of the media, who continually portrays life in a particular way. There is reality beyond all of that. And for many it is quite shocking to realise just how much of life exists beyond what they see, what they read, what they hear, what they experience on an everyday basis, and what they've experienced throughout their life in growing up and going to school, and what their culture, depending on which country you live in, you've got your own cultural programming, what we've learnt throughout our lives. And it's shocking for them to know that the universe is full of life, and it is. And for many of those people like myself who have experienced life beyond throughout our lives, and there's literally millions on the planet that have had these experiences, it's important for these people to know that we have an understanding of where humanity's heading. It's kind of like this: when you're walking through the forest or through the woods, you can't really see what's way up ahead because all the trees are in the way. But if you can climb up a ridge or a mountain, then you can look down on the whole forest and you can see exactly how everything is laid out. And if you would continue to walk that path, you would see where you would head and where you would end up. So people like myself have removed ourselves from the forest, from what we call the matrix, and we can look down on life, not down as in an elitist point of view, but it is a greater and grander perspective, and we can see where things are heading. And so we have a charade that's currently being played on humanity, and a charade that is about to be played on humanity. And the people, or shall I say beings, that are involved in manufacturing this charade, who are propagating this charade and implementing this charade, are not what they seem. They are here for their own selfish purposes and wish to misguide the human race down a particular path. We're already being funneled down a particular path with the type of technology we're using and the cultural and philosophical programs that have been propagated throughout our societies. So what I say to these people is there will come a time when things will spill into the public arena, will be for all to see, and it will seem like the world is plunging into a very unusual place. And I say, follow what's deep in your heart, and if you feel that you need to become one of the herd, if you like following, if you want to be a follower, you're welcome to do that. I don't recommend that way of being. I recommend standing in one's own essence, one's own light, one's own power, and understanding life from within, not from without. And it'll be up to the individual which way they want to choose. But I do wish to inform humanity that it's a very big universe, and after eons and eons and eons of evolution, there are beings who have mastered the ability, who come from a very dark place and have totally mastered the ability to pose as beings of love and light. And I warn humanity of those beings, having dealt with them personally, that what is about to be implemented on the human race is a drama which is very, very clever and has been implemented for the past 6,000 years. And I would say, don't be naive, don't be gullible, and be true to your heart, and you will get through, and you will see through the lies, and you will see through the deception. Pretty much in all the scriptures, there are talkings of a false Messiah, a false prophet. And for me, the false prophet that is to come is the personality of the deities that are already being propagated into the psyche of humanity, that have been for the last few thousand years, even the last couple of thousand years. That if there are beings that are going to come from the what I would consider the true light, and what I would consider an organic version of life and consciousness, not a synthetic authoritarian overlay or false light structures, I would say to them that we have already been fooled, and that the deities that many people are worshipping all around the world, those personalities and those images are the false messiahs. And that there are many who are awaiting their messiahs to turn up and save them, and they will. And it's interesting how many people have been programmed and conditioned, because the beings who have implemented this program understand genetics. They understand that if your bloodline has been marinating for centuries inside a religious dogma, inside a program, then the genetics are heavily coded. And when you have an essence that is stripped of everything and incarnates into an embodiment that's already programmed, that's already coded, then it's very, very difficult for that limited awareness to see past that program. This is a very, very clever plan that has been implemented on the human race for thousands of years. For this day, for this moment in time. There are many beings that are here that are helping from many levels. A lot of them are sitting back and waiting because they come from a place of unconditional love. So they don't wish to interfere with our journey here. They don't want to spoil the experience. They don't want to spoil the learning and therefore the wisdom that one gains in one's soul from having these incredible experiences of limitation and striving, the essence and that little spark inside of us that is striving and trudging and sludging its way through this dark, intense realm that we're experiencing here. But we do see these beautiful moments of life that comes from these realms. It's actually all around us, but we rarely acknowledge it. Most people just brush it by, and it could be a simple thing. As you're walking along, you just see a little child that's 3 years old pick up a paper and put it in the rubbish bin, whereas all the grown-ups just walk past it. It's a little gesture like that. That's a little gesture of gold, because it's respect. A little child is respecting Mother Earth in that moment. He's honouring Mother Earth in that moment. And so what that child felt in that moment, that love that it felt, it's little things, and they're everywhere. But do we notice them? When someone says to live life to the fullest, it doesn't mean to be reckless and disrespectful. But it doesn't mean not to have fun. It's always about balance. It's all about striving for balance. That's my recommendations, to get the most out of life for what little time is left on this level of reality, but to do it within reason, within fairness, within the realms of what we consider respectful intentions. If somebody feels a need to disrespect oneself in the next little while, that's their journey. But they will feel the pain of that disrespect prior to re-achieving balance. Yeah. So it's up to the individual what they wish to do between now and when the time comes to walk away from this level of life, to leave it all behind. It will, to have the knowledge that this level of life is coming to an end and to continue to live, having that knowledge is a great challenge. And it will make a person. It provides us another great test to see what substance is within the being. Because how we go about it between now and the end is what will make a person. And if people do it with great wisdom, if people do it with respect and with honour, or people become totally reckless, they will see where they're actually at in life. And life has this incredible way of wanting to achieve balance. So the further you push your scales out of balance, then the more intense it's going to be for you to re-achieve balance. There is always cause for every effect. There is always responsibility for every intention. So nobody actually gets away with anything. How do people prepare for disasters? Are the questions I get often. So what does George recommend? And I get that quite often. And I can't really recommend people to do this particularly or that. What I do recommend, if I'm going to recommend anything, is because we live in different parts of the world and we have therefore different circumstances around us. If you live in a really rough neighbourhood, then I suppose you've got to go about life in a different way as to someone that lives out in a nice quiet little village in the country where everything is nice and safe. So I say to people, follow your intuitive heart, and if you get this urge to stock up on food, do it. Because maybe where you live, you're going to need to do that. For other people, they don't feel the need to do that. So I would say just follow what you feel inside yourself. Because again, we're all on our individual journeys, and it's not one rule that fits all. But also don't be naive to think that absolutely nothing is going to happen. I've got water that I've made sure I've got lots of water, and I live out away from the main city. For me, it's not desirable to be in a city through these coming times.
Where do you live?
I live in the country, out in the country in South Australia, a couple of 100 kilometres north of Adelaide. And it's cropping and grazing land there, and it's nice wide open spaces and not too many people around, and it's very peaceful and very quiet. I like it there. And for me, to live in a city is not good for me. For other people, it's good, they like it.